Now, after we define our process diagram, it's time to implement the UI activity. As we can see in the NetWeaver Developer Studio, there's still a red cross in the human activity, which means it isn't linked yet to a task. This task will be a WebDimpro component, which I already prepared. In this WebDimpro component, we defined a context in the component controller containing all the customer data. As you can see here, email, person name and phone number, and also the approved attribute, which will hold the result of the decision of the call center agent, will he approve or reject the customer application. We can also see in the interface controller it has the same context. And there's also a complete event, which we defined in the component controller and also in the interface controller. Now, looking at the view, we can see it's a simple form displaying all the customer data and two buttons, the confirm and reject button. So if the user presses confirm, the approved attribute will be filled with approved and the complete event will be thrown. Now, in order for us to use this WebDimpro, we should define a dependency between this DC and the DC of our process component. So therefore we navigate to the development component perspective. And here we see in the BPS Rec process development component that there is a usage dependency between the BPS Rec DC and the WebDimpro development components. And the usage dependency is design, deploy and runtime. Now this will allow us to use this WebDimpro as a task in our human activity. So therefore we go to the human activity, we click task new, we give it a name, and then we finish it. Now the first thing we will have to do is to link it with a user interface, in our case the WebDimpro component. So here in the middle of the screen we can choose one. And we select the WebDimpro component with which we defined the dependency. Select component and interface view and also the complete event. Now the next thing we have to do is assign this activity to a user. So therefore we log in the UME. I'm gonna define the administrator as the user just for testing purposes. Now let's move on to the implementation of the automated activity. Remember that the automated activity will call our web service to create a customer data record in the database. So we navigate back to the process perspective. First we're gonna have to import our custom web service. Therefore we go to the service registry. Now we can look for our custom web service. Now here you see a list with all the services that are deployed in the service registry. So we select the one we want. We can also see that there's an endpoint associated with it, so select this also. And now we have to define a service group. First, let's check if there's already a service group available. No, there's not, so we're gonna have to create a new one. Actually, this service group will help us later on to configure the use of our web service in a business scenario. So now we see that the service is imported from the service registry in our process project. So the next thing we do is associate our automated activity with this web service. We right click, go to properties, and when we go to interface, we can select a service interface associated with this automated activity. We choose the one we just imported and the operation is filled in automatically. You can also see the service group we just created is going to be used. So now if we save, we see that the error mark disappears from our automated activity.